Okay, so if you scale this part on the size, right? I'm just gonna use the z-axis here, all right? Or let's go with the front face actually. Okay, you can grab this thing right here in the view tab if you want it. Yeah, view selector, and it will pop up right here. So as you can see every face, and so as you can see here, every face have a name, which is front in this case, and it does have two axes because we've only seen on one face. It's kind of like 2D, you know. So you have, for example, in the front axis, we have the y-axis going up and the x-axis going to the left. Okay, cool. Now the thing is, if I try to scale my part on this place like this, right now I'm scaling by 2 studs. I can scale just like by 1 stud like this. As you can see, I'm scaling right now to there. Like, really? Okay, so if you see here, we're only gonna use the x-axis for now because this is the axis that we're gonna use. Okay, so in the x-axis, if I scale this up, it will scale itself normally, okay? Doesn't matter if I scale it this way or whichever, okay? But if I use, like, that's if I actually use this tool, right? But if I use the property directly, like I would do using script, right here, let's say I put it into 2, as you can see, it's scaled on both actually in the same axis, right, which is x, but in both sides, in both I don't know what it's called, but yeah. So 4 5, as you can see, it scales on the 2 side, which is not something you want sometimes. Like, let's say using this tools, you can scale even this direction or this direction, okay, or this side or this side. So what if we want that in our script and we can only use the size property and properties in general, right? Now look at this. If we change just the size and the 2-axis scales up, um, only this property changes. But look at the position here in the x-axis, it doesn't change at all. But let's go back to 1, okay? And let's try to scale it in this direction, which is where the x is facing, okay, by 1 stud. And as you can see here, it's scaled up by 1 stud. So 1 stud is added into the size in the x-axis. And in the position, as you can see here, it added 0.5, okay? So that's interesting. So not just the size that changed, but also the position, because the scale property or the size property is getting used from the center. Of course, there is a new feature in Roblox, but I wouldn't right now go into it because that's another topic for another video. So as you can see, it just keeps on going by 0.5, while my size is going up by 0.5. So what if I go to the to the opposite direction in the same axis, of course, which is the x. So right now the size changes as it would. It just like adds 1 to it. But in the x, instead of adding 0.5, it actually do minus 0.5. Just subtract minus 0.5 instead of adding. So if you're going to scale your part in the x side, like where it's going with the x-axis right here, like going from left or actually from right to left, then it will add into the x-axis. But if it's the opposite, then it's going to subtract from the position. But now the real question is, um, well, how would I know if I should add 0.5 or whatever? Well, let's see what's happening here. Let's go back to 0 here. Let's set this to 1, okay? Now the thing is, when you add, right now I'm adding by 1 stud. So if I add 1 stud, 1 get added into the size, and in the position, 0.5 get added only, okay? Now let's go back and let's set it to 2 studs, okay? Cool. Now I set it at 2 studs. Now, as you can see, this goes from 1 to 3 in the size, which means it just added 2. But in the position, right now we added 1. So you can see something here. Don't you see that it's actually added into the position? It's adding half the delta of the size, okay? Which is 2 studs in this case. here it adds 2, but here it adds the half of that, which is 1, okay? And for the sign of the x is depending on like where direction kind of thing, you know. So yeah, that's just was a theoretical explanation kind of thing, you know. Now let's go into work. Of course, there is more directions, and it's the same logic in all directions, you know. But I just kept it really easy and simple to understand using only one axis for now. Cool. All right, now let's go into our script. Let's make a script here. Okay, or yeah, let's make a script. Cool. Now, of course, let's grab our part and local part equal to, oh god, let me just fix something real quick, which is script editor, and then where's spaces? Yeah, show white space. All right. Now my part is script.parent because my script is inside the part itself, which is good. And I also want the tween service just so I can animate it if you want later on. So game get service tween service. All right, so here we go. Local part equals script.parent. Cool stuff. And we got the tween service too, which is very cool. All right. Now let me try to add, let's say, let's scale this part somewhere, you know, just from one side. That's what we're gonna do right now. So, let's try to create a tween. So tween service create. It needs, as you can see here, an instance, which is the part we're gonna tween or gonna animate, and then the tween info and the property table, which is the destination property. So create, and we're gonna give it the instance, which is our part, and then a tween info, which we're gonna create, and then the property table, which I'm just gonna call props. Okay, cool. Now let's create the tween info, which is tweenInfo.new. Okay, so tween info needs this properties. We're only considering time, ease in style, and ease in direction. Okay, so this is basically a tween info is just like describing how the animation will be, how much time it will take, how we would animate, and in which direction. Direction is for another video and for another topic. But yeah, I'll show you a rule of thumb for ease in direction for sure. For the time, we'll just go for now with let's say I guess 1 or 2, and then for the easing style, it's an enum. So enum.easing style, and if you do the dot, it will give you like options inside the easing style stuff that you can use. So I'm gonna use sign. Usually you will use sign. It depends on your use case, but usually sign is very good, like very good for kind of like every kind of way of animating it. It's just so smooth. Okay. So Enum.easing direction. Now here is my rule of thumb to choose in between in and out and out. Okay. So you're going to usually use in out. Why? Because if it's something that like will be displayed on the player, like it will animate in front of the player, always, like it will always be in front of the player, like the player screen, then you're always going to use in out. Otherwise, you might want to use in or out, depending on what you need. So number repeat count, not going to use that. Reverse, time, etc., etc., etc. We don't need that. Okay, cool stuff. Now we need the properties table, which is props, and here is where the magic happens. Since we want to scale the part in both, but for now let's start by scaling it on one axis because it's much easier to do so. Right now the part size is just 1, as you can see here, 1 on one axis. Okay, cool. Now I just want to make it 2, you know, vector3.new let's say 2, 1, 1 for the other axis. So I'm only going to scale it in one axis, which is the x-axis. Cool. I'm not gonna edit the position. I'm only going to edit the size right now. And then I create the tween here. I use the tweenInfo that I created, the props, and the part that I want to animate. And then I play the tween. Okay. However, since I'm just going to join, it will take a bit of time for me to join. So I'm just gonna add a bit of weight so I can see the whole animation. I'll use task.wait, not wait like this, not wait like this, because this is deprecated. It shouldn't be used anymore in future projects. You should use task.wait instead. It's much more precise, it's much more cooler, you know. But yeah, so run, and as you can see, it scaled one studs. Let's make it a bit bigger, and of course, let me make sure this is anchored. Okay, here we go. So let me make this bigger instead of 2. Let's go, for example, with 10. Okay, let me save this and let's run. And here we go. Let me just remove this stuff. Okay, as you can see, it animates very well. Okay, so we wait 1 second and then it scales up. But as you can see, it scales on the 2 sides. It scales from the center on the 2 sides, which is not something you want every time. So what if we want to scale it on only one side? For example, let's say we want to scale it this way, okay? So what you're gonna do, and of course in the x-axis, what you're gonna do, you're gonna select your part, you're gonna do F, you're gonna press F, so you can focus on it. You can put the front axis, for example, so I can see the x-axis. Let's say I want to change its, I want to scale it by this way, which is, so I need to actually use minus because this is like in the opposite direction of x. So I should actually use minus instead of adding. Okay, or instead of plus. So let's do that. So position equal to vector3. And since I'm going to scale it up, I'm not gonna use like an absolute position or absolute size. I'm gonna say delta size, okay? Let me say, for example, 10 or 9 or whatever. 9, for example, and here I'm just gonna say part.size plus vector3 dot new, okay? And or you can also use dot from axis or something, or from even normal ID if you want. Let's say, for example, from normal ID, then you can say normal ID dot back, bottom, front, left. You can choose any direction you want here, as you can see, but it doesn't matter here actually, so I'm only gonna use it this way. So I'm gonna use maybe from axis, you know. Okay, Enum.Axis dot x, okay, because I'm gonna scale it by in the x-axis, and I'm gonna do times what? Times delta size, because I want to add that there. Cool stuff. Now I'm gonna add the delta size in the axis x. Now here in the position, I'm gonna do part dot position plus vector3 dot from normal ID instead. I'm gonna use, because I'm gonna use a face. Let's say you see this front face, or actually let's use one of these, either left or right. Let's say left axis, okay, or left face. So that's the left face. Cool. So let's go with the left face. Enum.NormalId.left. Cool. And now I'm just going to say times delta size. But as you know, we add into the size divided by 2. So the delta divided by 2. So that's what I'm going to do right there. And that's basically it. And yeah. Position. So just make sure to add a comma right there. And yeah, here we go. Now that should work, hopefully. Let's see. Boom. You see that? That's perfect. As you can see right now, it's scaled from one face, which is the left face. If I want it to scale in the right face, I can just use this, the right. and then I can run. And as you can see, it's scaled in the right face. But there is one thing that you should know is that, let's say I want to scale it from the front face, okay? So let's say the front. All right, so watch what's gonna happen here. If I test this is what happened. It's actually took the position in, like, the position is right, but the size is wrong because it's not the right axis. So if you watch here, the front face should be in the z-axis, not the x-axis. So if you want, for example, to scale on the top or bottom face, then you should use the y-axis. If you want to use the back or the front, then you should use the z. If you want to use the left or the right, then you should use the x. That's basically it. So right here, if I want it correctly, since I'm using the front face, I need the z-axis, just like that. Now let's run this up, and as you can see, it worked. So let's run again, hopefully. And as you can see, it worked pretty greatly. Now let's try to make a function that will get the properties for me, kind of. Or even give me the tween itself. Maybe, yeah. Alright, so let's see. Local function, create, what we should call it. Scale side, maybe scale side, or scale face. Let's say scale face, okay? So I'm gonna call this function scale face. Tween, okay? So this will return the tween basically. And then what I'm gonna give it is, I'm gonna give it tweenInfo basically. And then I'm gonna give it, by the way, the instance, which is the part in most cases, but yeah. I need tweenInfo, and I also need the delta, okay? So how much you want to scale it up, okay? Cool. Now that's pretty good. Okay. Now local position, I think, or actually let's go. Now we're gonna construct all of this kind of things, you know. We're just gonna say this. I'm gonna copy it here, and here we go. The props. So instead of part, I'm gonna use the instance. Just like that, par instance, and here too, instance. Just like that, cool. And now for this one is a bit different, bit different. And also I do need the direction. So tweenInfo, direction and delta. And let's actually leave tweenInfo as the last one, really. Okay, cool. Direction, delta, and tweenInfo. So the direction will be just, or actually, let's say the face, really. Let's see the face, delta, tweenInfo. Cool stuff. Now, depending on the face, we're gonna give it something. So we need to select the axis depending on the face. And that's the thing. Now, face equal to, let's say, Enum.NormalId.front, or face equal to enum. Actually, let's call this local is z-axis, for example, equal to face equal to enum.normalId.front, or just gonna, you know, like do this and do this. And instead of front, I'm gonna use back. Okay, now that would give me, or would tell me, is it the x, is it the z-axis, is axis z, for example. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this 3 times, or actually, yeah, 3 times. And then here, it's gonna be, well, maybe top and bottom. Yeah, top and bottom. Just like that. And then here, let's see. Top, bottom, what else? Okay, so here the right and left. Right and left. And actually, I'm just gonna put this into its own function. I'm gonna call this function access from face. you know, so you're just gonna give it the face, and then it will give you the axis of that face. All right, so if as axis z, then return Enum.NormalId, or actually dot axis z. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the other ones. And by the way, dot bottom, this is y, and this is x. Okay, cool. Now I'm just gonna do the same thing for the other ones. I'm gonna do it 3 times like this. Cool stuff. Dot z. So instead of z here, this is y, and of course, let me make sure to edit that too. Here is x, x, and yeah, we've done it. Cool stuff. Oh, what I'm doing here, by the way, I'm doing it twice. Cool. All right, let's just remove this little typo here. And that should hopefully do it. Wait, let me just fix this, and here we go. So basically, we're gonna check if it's axis Z. And what is axis Z? The face should be front or the face back. For the Y, if it is, then we're just gonna return the Enum.Axis. Okay. And the other things, just like that's the same thing. We're doing the same thing. All right. Okay, cool stuff. Now we have a good axis function. So I'm just gonna say local axis equal to axis from face, and I'm gonna give it the face that I got. All right, and now here instead of enum.axis z, I'm just gonna say axis, and that should do it. That really should do it. Instead of enum.normalId.front, I'm just gonna pass in the face here, and boom, we're done. We're done, guys. We're done. Now let's say local tween equal to ScaleFaceTween. Then, by the way, let's remove the other stuff. I don't need this stuff. I do need the tweenInfo, but I'm gonna put it on down there. But yeah, I only need the tweenInfo here. Okay, so let's grab it and let's put it here. Okay, so this is our two functions. We can just collapse them like this. And yeah, that's basically it. What's going on here, by the way? Something is wrong. Oh yeah, because we're using the deltaSize. I should use the delta, let's say size, okay? deltaSize, just to be explicit. I put implicit, I'm not sure what to call it, yeah. All right, so we're good with that. Now ScaleFaceTween. Now I'm gonna give it the instance, which is the part, my part, and then the face, Enum.Face. Well, normal. It's called normalId. Not sure why, but yeah. And you can say, for example, front, and then you can say deltaSize. Let's say, well, let's say maybe 1, or actually, let's go with 10 studs, okay? And the tweenInfo that we have. Cool stuff. Now, let's just watch this thing go, and let's save and run. And let's see what's gonna happen here. Well, nothing happened for some reason, and the output does have nothing. Why? Because we only created the tween, but we didn't play it. So you can say tween play, right? Cool. And attempt to index null with play. Oh yeah, because we didn't return in our function, we didn't return the tween, okay? We just created it. So we can just say return tween here, and boom, we're done. Now let's run this up, and boom, here we go. We may just add a little bit of delay, task.wait, let's say 1, before playing the tween, so I can see it fully. As you can see, it goes, or it gone into the front face, and it did the job, okay? Now let's try the other faces. So what I'm gonna do here is, basically, let's say this is front, okay? I'm just gonna call the tween front like this, and that's basically it. The tweenInfo, all the animation takes 1 second, so I'm just gonna make sure that's the case. Okay, actually I'm just gonna do this instead of setting it into something, I'm just gonna play it directly, from the function itself instead of setting it to a actual variable, whichever. So I'm just gonna copy this 6 times, I think, so we can try all of them. All right, and for the last one, I don't need to wait. Okay, so this is front, this is back, this is, oh god, this is right, this is left. So we can try all of them basically. And then we can choose right, left, yeah, up for top, yes, and then bottom. Here we go. Now let's play, and boom. Let's see. Here we go. Dude, that looks epic. You see that? That's just beautiful. More than I even thought about that. So see this. First here, 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 and then here. Whoa, dude, that's just so beautiful. Let's try other animations. Let's go with back, for example. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Let's even remove this base plate. It looks so bad. All right, boom, 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 boom. That's just so beautiful, man. Dude, that's just awesome. All right, that's super cool. So yeah, we can even add another parameter if you want. We can add weight, for example. Let's call it something else. Block, for example. Or yeah, I think so. Yeah, okay. Now, if block, then what you're gonna do is wait. TweenInfo. We're gonna say task. Oh wait, or actually Tween. Oh, but that wouldn't work because we're actually like returning the Tween. It's not our job to actually play the Tween. So that makes sense. So yeah, that's basically it for this tutorial actually. And as you can see how I actually use all kind of things of vector 3, normal ID, faces, and axis, all that cool stuff, right? That's super awesome. And let me just check one thing. If we go right there and say Roblox and normal ID, just like that, then I can check the normal ID here. And as you can see, there's one thing which is all of them have a value. 1, 4, 2, 5, 0, 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that means something that we can actually go through all the faces without even using an enum. How we can do that? Well, let's try it. So instead of doing this whole little thing right here, what you can do is you can do this and then say for I equal to 0, 5, 1, do. And then we're just gonna do this and do this. And instead of 1, I'm gonna say tweenInfo dot what it's called time. So even if you change the time here, it wouldn't mess up. All right, as long as you have the same tweenInfo. So yeah. And instead of dot front or whatever that is, I'm just gonna say array. Okay. And that's basically it. Now that should work. Let's see what's gonna happen here. Oh, argument 1 missing or nil? What do you mean? Let's see. Argument 1 missing or nil? Oh, that's weird. From axis. Alright, I guess I have one little thing that I don't want the i's of the number, but I think I have to do this normal ID, and then maybe I have to do this. Let me try, hopefully. Okay, still not valid. Alright, let's search about something. Or wait a sec. Let me print. Enum.NormalId dot back, for example, and then if you print that, it gives you this, but you want, for example, the value. But what if you want to how to get enum from value roblox? Let's check. Enumerations, here we go. How do I get enum integer value from material? Enums, enum index, whatever. Let's see what's gonna happen here. By enum value, 816, get enum items, huh? Oh, I think this is what I need. Okay, in the script enum, called enum. Alright, see the enum index. Let me try this one. Let's try. So if I do this, the enum item, yeah, here we go. It does give me the array of all the enums, which is pretty good. I'm not sure if it gives me the enum itself or just a string, as you can see here, but let's see. So what if we do this? Okay, like this, and then I like this. Run. Okay, still not, but right now I know what's gonna happen. What's happening here basically. So I'm gonna say get normal ID, get enum, or let's say get enum from value. Okay, so this is basically a function. All right, so we can handle it on its own. Local function get enum from value I, or it will just give it a value basically. And then let's see what's gonna happen here. So we're gonna return enum. First of all, let's actually get this enum right here. By the way, you need to specify the enum, I think. Yeah, sure. Now we're just gonna say return enum, get enum item, value. Okay. Now this will give us the name, and what we should do is should address it in the enum itself. It's quite hilarious how you can do this. I think this should work. Let's run. Okay, it doesn't. Attempt index number with GetEnumItems. Let's see. Oh, yeah, because I didn't pass the enum, I forgot. Normal ID, comma I, okay? Cool. Now, if we run this, string expected got nil. Where string expected got nil? Here. So that got nil for some reason. That's weird. Oh yeah, I know why. Because right now we're working with an array. So we should start from 1 and then go to 6, basically. Let's play. Oh god. String expected got enum item. String expected got enum item. Huh. Let me check this once again. This is a bit weird. It gives an array. Okay, access root for all. Okay, developers to get a list of every enum on Roblox. Maybe I should just like return that itself, like just like this, maybe, possibly. Let's see. Here we go. It works. Boom. So it gives you the enum itself. All right. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. So this is how you get the enum from a value. Okay. So basically, here we just say from 1 to 6, and since an array starts from 1, and there is 6 faces, I just did this loop, and then I said here get enum from value Enum.NormalId. So I made another. As you can see, there is a lot of information on one video. It's a bit hard to actually kind of like get all of it, but yeah, hopefully I helped you, and see you later. Goodbye.